A very, very warm welcome to you all. My name is Christopher. I'm going to be doing this presentation with you for about the next hour and a half, and then we'll switch over and have a private event at the end. So let's get started here and see what there is to see. We're going to start off with a few screenshots. Okay, so first of all, I hope you're all on the right plane. This is the flight to SPLAT, which stands for Supporting Parents, Learners, Administrators, and Teachers. And we are Right Size Education Technologies, Inc. My name is Christopher. I'm the president of this company. I've had the pleasure of doing what I do for over 27 years here at Right Size. 15 years ago or so, I made one of the really great decisions in my whole life, and that was to bring my company to your country. And so 15 years ago, we opened Right Size Philippines. We now have over 40 amazing, talented individuals working with us in Ortigas. About 7 years ago or so now, I met an old friend who convinced me to join his internet startup to develop some software for the US school system. And I thought, wow, wouldn't that be sexy? Wouldn't that be fun to be part of an internet startup? And it was. But like so many internet startups, they got a lot of other people's money. They burned through it. They went out of business, and we got the software back. So that software, good stuff. It's still being sold and used in United States schools. We decided to write a special version of it just for the Philippines. And so we call that SPLAT PH. It has been done and is being done as a corporate social responsibility effort. The Philippines has been good to me. This is my opportunity to be perhaps good back to the Philippines. This is not a small effort. So when I last looked at the numbers, we had over 75,000 developer hours in this. That's 40 developer years. And I'm sure that we're probably up to 80,000 now because those numbers are a little bit old. So lots and lots of effort. This is just not, we didn't do this in one weekend in our garage. And what we've done here is really, truly, exclusively for the Philippines, not something we're going to try to make fit. It's really Philippines. The US doesn't have almost any of these features that you guys have, but it is corporate social responsibility. So this is being offered completely free to all Philippine public and private schools until the end of school year 2022 through 23. Now, it's my hope that at some point, some lovely person or persons like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation will help us out with some of our operational costs because we have servers and bandwidth and things. But if that doesn't happen, we may at some point go through the commission on audit process, get three bids. And if that ends up happening, we will ask DepEd, not the families, not the parents, not the kids, but DepEd itself for a whopping 1 peso per learner per month, or 12 pesos per year. So it won't really be free anymore, but we hope to be truly low cost. Now, you're asking, Chris, what do we get for our cost of free? And the answer is you get our servers. So we have 21 brand new servers in our data center in Ortigas. Those are dedicated to this. So we want this to be fast and responsive for your schools. You get our hosting, our internet, our data center. You get the use of our software that runs on websites, on Androids and iPhones, as well as iPads. And we have 3 flavors. We've got SPLAT for teachers, SPLAT for families, and SPLAT for administrators. And I'll go through all 3 of those today. We also have, especially for your administrators, some really nice things called flash reports, where we email a PDF of how your schools are doing, whether you're the school head, division, district, or region personnel. We send those out to you once a week, once a month, or once a quarter. We also have school forms routing, so we do electronic SF2s to go through approval cycles with your grade chairpersons up to your school head, clicks one button and they turn into an SF4. So a lot of automation there, paperless. And then we have some nice new HR form technology that will come on as soon as we can stop doing COVID stuff. So now there is one catch. There's always a catch, but here's our catch. The one thing that we don't give you for free, if you want us to send text messages out to your families of your schools, because the families only have basic phones, then we would be able to do that. What we can't do, though, is we can't afford to pay for all that Globe or Smart texting. It ends up being quite expensive. So if you'd like us to text your families, we have the servers, we have the infrastructure and technology, but we don't have the budget. So if you want us to do that, give us your Globe account number and we will be happy to do the rest of it for free. The other thing is, this isn't just free right now. This is free for this whole 2023 time, and hopefully on after that is really our hope. So we are, as I've said, we're computer people and we're programmers and we're good at it. And so when I went out to our focus groups in your schools and we talked to people about what could we do to help, we visited some of your beautiful classrooms and saw committed educators teaching young people things that were important to their lives. But what we didn't see, this was so important, we didn't see any computers. I mean, they're in the labs, but they weren't in the classrooms much, in some cases, but not very much. And what we also didn't see mostly was good internet in the classrooms. And in lots of cases, we didn't even find very good power. So we looked around and we're like, what can we do? We're computer people and we need computers. What we saw, pretty much always though, was a gadget. The teachers almost always had gadgets. So we wrote all of SPLAT to work beautifully, completely disconnected from the internet on a teacher's gadget. Now, you can't be disconnected forever, but the plan was that when a teacher came onto the campus in the morning, they synchronized their phone with the internet at an access point. That teacher then went into their classroom and taught all day using just their phone. And then at the end of their day, they would walk past that access point again. Their phone was synchronized up to the internet again. So just being near an access point twice a day was plenty to give us a really good system for teachers to help make their workload easier, meaning a lot less things like SFs and ECRs that were all these paper systems. It also gave us the ability to connect with the families that we know in some cases really want more information about what's going on with their learner. So it gave us a lot of good stuff. It also works, of course, on laptops and desktops. And we then took all of this goodness and we started writing a version of SPLAT for families. With our family app, your entire, if a learner's family has just one gadget in the family, which we think is common in your schools, that they share a gadget in the house, you can have an entire family use one gadget. But the difference here is that where a teacher, we think they really kind of need to synchronize with our servers about twice a day, morning and afternoon. With your learners, we've designed the system so they only have to connect to the internet about once a week. So unlike a lot of the systems out there, like Zoom, like we're all on right now, where you really need to be connected, with SPLAT, you don't. We're a word that you all probably now know, we're asynchronous. So your learners can, and their families can use the computers at home if they have them. They can use internet cafes or PisoNet if they have access to one, all good. But we also were completely disconnected on their phones at home. For the families, we also support Facebook Messenger and SMS or texting, as I said earlier, to connect with and communicate with your families. This could be especially helpful if your families are OFW and they want to be part of the education process, but they're OFW, so they can't do school visits, but with SPLAT, they can stay very connected with the education process. And your administrators can view data on a full screen or the mobile phones, but we leave all that data on the server, so they have to be connected because the data, in many cases, your schools are huge, and we can't really carry all that data around on a phone. So data on a phone brings up some questions, though. And the biggest thing then we have to deal with is learner data privacy and protection. Now, I'm not a lawyer, but I can write like one and I can talk like one if I need to. And I know as much about the Data Privacy Act as many people who are in law. I have read it so many times. I know the IRRs really well. I have read every single opinion piece that the NPC has on their website regarding the Data Privacy Act. And a lot of it might surprise you. Did you know that your schools need to be in compliance with the Data Privacy Act, even if none of your records are on computers? The DPA applies to paper records just the same as computer records? I didn't, but I do now. And unfortunately, so do you. So we have a data privacy officer. We're approved by the NPC. We're registered. We're all in good shape on this, and we know what we're doing. SPLAT is very, very, very compliant with the DPA. One of the things that I don't have on the side, but maybe should be important to some of you, is that the data that is stored in SPLAT on your behalf, A, is your data, not ours. We take no ownership of the data. B, it never, ever, ever leaves the country. And C, we commit to never selling, sharing, or monetizing that data. Okay, so we're not trying to make this into something where we're harvesting all of your learners' data and selling it to somebody else. Quite opposite. We promise to never do those things. So some of you have already have the MOA or a draft or sample of the MOA in your possession. The MOA deals with these things, which is our commitments to you to keep your data and your learners and families' data completely safe. One of the ways we do this is that we encrypt all of your personally identifiable and sensitive personal information at all times. We only show learner data to those people who have a need to know. So, for example, we know that occasionally, at least in pre-COVID times, your advisors would occasionally make a trip to a family's house to talk to the parents about something that was going on at school. So advisors need to see where the learner lives because they may need to go there. But subject teachers, we're told, never make a house visit. So we don't show the learner's house address to a subject teacher, only to an advisor. So there's an example of where it's not just encryption, it's being very careful about what we show to whom. And we have really good gadget security. Now, I am not a Filipino, obviously, even though I have a flag on the wall behind me, but I have been commuting to your country up until last year when COVID hit. I was commuting to the Philippines frequently. So my schedule has been for 15 years, 3 weeks in Los Angeles, 3 weeks in the Philippines, back and forth 9 times a year. So I have almost 2 million miles on Cathay Pacific going back and forth in a little teeny tiny seat. But I think I'm one of the lucky people on the planet that I get to do this. But what I do know about the Philippines is that cell phones don't always stay with you very long. I've had a phone stolen off of a table at a resto bar. I'm sure some of you have too. And probably at least a few people on the call today have left a phone on a Jeep seat or in a trike, or it fell out. You don't know where it ended up, but you know you don't have it anymore. Well, that's awful. That's painful. That you feel invaded when somebody steals your cell phone. But when we're the people who are responsible for the data, it becomes our problem that you lost your cell phone or your cell phone got stolen. Because in many cases, it's not a question of if your phone's going to get lost or stolen, it's when it's going to be lost or stolen. So SPLAT has some very strong protections for learner data as well as adult data, in that if your phone gets stolen and you forgot to lock it or wasn't locked when you got stolen, the person who grabs it may have access to your Facebook, because that is, on most of our phones, never locked unless we've got a child in the house and we might lock it. But outside of that, we don't lock our Facebook, but we do lock SPLAT. And so your teachers, when they get out of SPLAT for any reason, when they get back in, they have to put in their PIN code. And if they put in the PIN code wrong 5 times, we erase all of the learner data off of that phone because we don't want it ever in the wrong hands. Now, the data is all on our servers, so probably almost nothing got really lost. But we also have confidence that that data is not in the wrong hands. So I'm going to stop here now, and I'm going to show you a little bit about what SPLAT looks like on a cell phone for a teacher who's in a traditional classroom. And let's all say it together. Oh, we can't wait to get back in the classroom when we can do it safely. I mean, there's no point being there and being dangerous, but oh, wouldn't it be nice to be able to go back to life the way we knew it? So I'm going to stop sharing there. But before I go over to my phone, Ryan is going to send out a second chat to everyone. So Ryan, if you could pop out a chat to everyone. Ryan and his team, which is Ray and Stephen, as well as Nilda, who's joining me on this call as our champion, they're here to help me do this. And what Ryan, Ray, Stephen, and Nilda do for me during these calls is to help me by being my eyes and my ears. So Ryan just sent a chat to you. If you have any questions at all as I'm going through this, or if you want me to go slower, or well, nobody's ever wanted me to talk faster, but if you want me to talk faster, or slower, you have a question, please send a private chat to Ryan. He knows when it's a good time to interrupt me, like right now, and then he can stop and we can answer questions. This is live. I'm going to show you code on my own phone. This is where I hope none of my friends send me an embarrassing text on this time, but and please don't if you're listening. But this is live. Stuff breaks. It's live code. This is not a canned presentation. So if stuff does break, bear with me. We'll get through it together. And let's take a look as I share now on my phone what SPLAT teachers see in their classroom. So I'm going to switch over here. I'm going to go into SPLAT Teacher, and I was in it before. There it is. Okay, so I was in SPLAT before on my phone to make sure everything worked well enough before the show. Type in my PIN number, and that then gets me into SPLAT. And my internet seems really slow today. Okay, big delay. Okay, this is going to be bad. All right, so if I come into this as a teacher, the first thing I'm going to see is my list of classes that I teach. And so today for my demo, I'm going to be using my second period English, and there is its section name. I'm going to come into my attendance mode at the moment. To take attendance in a classroom, I'm going to pinch and zoom there so I can see more of my class. I tap a learner, and by tapping them just once, they are marked as absent. Period 2. Okay. So much better. Okay, so as I tap my screen, people change their icons. If I tap them a second time, they get a little gray mark, which means they're tardy. And so Jameson, earlier I was tapping to turn tardy. I made a mistake. Jameson was really in the back of the room under a desk somewhere. I tap a third time, they go back to being present. So super fast to tag a learner as in class or tardy or absent. Every day at 6 p.m., we take all this data and we fill it into the SF2 system that we have, but we also send out alerts to your parents telling them that their learner was either absent all day or disappeared in the middle of the day. And so that night at dinner, that family can have an awkward discussion about where were you in the middle of the day for 2 hours? Because if you deal with it that day, maybe behavior changes. Let's switch over now to some of our other modes that the teacher can do in class. What I'm going to look at next is graded activity. So going into graded activity, I'm going to come up here and make a new graded activity. Let's make it a written work. And it is how do light bulbs work? That's not really a good choice for an English class, but there it is. Okay, max score we're going to say is 20, and we've got a due date that I can say is it's Friday for you, and then I can put it in the description. This is going to be useful to you when you're back in schools and you've got projects coming up that you want to know, you want your families to understand that there's a project coming up. I'm a father. I have 2 adult children, but when they were kids, and they were great kids, I had really great kids, but I still never found out about their projects until the night before. And they come to me and they say, Dad, can you help me with this project? And I'm like, well, sure. When's it due? And the answer every single time was tomorrow. I'll go, ah. And some of you are probably parents as well. And your kids may come home at the end of a quarter and dump their backpacks out on the floor. And you're like, what's all that paper? You're like, and you look at it and it's all the stuff you were supposed to be signing all quarter, telling you what's going on that didn't really go on. And so that's one of the things that SPLAT hopes to accomplish, is getting the parents more engaged in the education process so they can help their learner do their work on time and do it at all. Let's save this now. Okay, so we now have our new English project called How Do Light Bulbs Work? And I'm going to go in and start giving some grades. So one way I can do this is to tap on a name and then enter 18.
18.
And my phone talks to me if I want it to during this process. So Aldrin here got a 15.
15.
So this is one way I can do grading. Another way is to tap the grading button on my screen. And this is what we call carousel mode. And this was designed to be done with one hand on a bouncing Jeep. So you're on your way home from school, again, back in the good days when we can go to actual schools. I'm on a Jeep. My class president has sorted the tests from today's work in an order. I've got it in my hand, and I'm going to just sit here and enter 15 with one hand. And then, oh, wait, I heard I entered a 1. Oh, no, that was the bounce of the Jeep. I'm going to go back up here. I'm going to clear that and put in that this person, Denmark, got an 18. So lots of ways to try to make doing grading, which is time consuming, faster, easier, and more accurate. We can also use groups to do grading. So if I am a teacher who believes in group grading, I can click and hold my green group here. Then I can say select all in group. I can give them all a score of 19 because the green group did very well. And now everybody who's in my green group got a score of 19. So again, trying to make giving grades for classroom activities very fast, very easy. And also, and this is just done. I'll show you in a minute, but all of this goes directly into an ECR. So you don't now need to take these grades and put them into an ECR, just like our attendance goes from that first screen directly into an SF2, the SF2 that is done by your advisor. Let's move to another mode here for a moment, which is our recognition mode. This is one of SPLAT's 3 behavior modules. So our behavior modules do 3 things. This first one recognizes your learners. And I don't think I've got in here. Okay, so yep, this is a brand new demo environment. I haven't gotten this up and running yet. Ryan, could you make a note that I have to get Casey to help me get some recognitions on here? What recognitions are ways to acknowledge that a learner in my class or in the school has done something that's really wonderful. So we were on the phone the other day with a teacher here in the United States that uses our system. She has, not so much now with COVID, she said, but prior to COVID, I visited her classroom one day, and she has just these stuffed animals up on the wall of her room. And she gives her learners points for great things they do in class. And then those learners can go into her store, because SPLAT has a store. It's not for buying pencils and papers. It's for getting recognitions for these things that you get with the recognition points. And they can go into her store and they can get an animal to sit on their desk for one day for 500 points, let's say. So they work really hard to get these 500 points so that they can take an animal off the wall and set it on their desk and have this animal sit with them for that one day. And her classroom has really, really good behavior because they're trying hard to earn these points to get the animals to sit with them for a day. That costs that teacher almost nothing to buy those toys one time. And yet her whole classroom runs better because of it. Other things that kids seem to want from the stores surprise us always. They want a nice note from the school head home to their parents, just saying to their parents that their learner's done a great job. I never would have guessed that would be one of the things that people want the most is they want their parents to know they're doing well. But you're educators, I'm a parent, we know that not every child is good every day. And even my own good kids weren't always 100% perfect, but sad but true. So, and I just put this all in. This is our system called referrals. And our referrals is our way to document behavior that is not so good. So we could have, behaviors like this that you as school heads or your folks in your districts or your divisions put in that you can use to document, behavior that's not really so good at school. And with this, we don't do anything with the punishment. All we do is the documentation that something happened. And we can also document, as you see there at the bottom of my screen, that there was property damage or that other persons were involved. So if your school believes in the concept of restorative justice, for example, you can use this system in that way. You can also document if there is a person who is always causing fights, but the reason they get away with it is that they always have those 2 big guys right behind them, because that's kind of how bullies work sometimes, is they got big help standing behind them. you can document that these others are always there so that your counselors, your school head, or whoever does your behavior can try to separate these three, because sometimes that alone makes a big difference in the quality of life on campus. So really trying to help you deal with bullying, because the first step with bullying often is good documentation. And our last of our three behavior modules is what we call outreaches. And these are ways to document your young learners who are struggling because of troubles in their life. And what is it that you think is causing this your learner to have trouble? This isn't aimed at punishing. This is aimed at nurturing, caring, supporting, and loving. But maybe your learner has come in and and they're not getting any food, they're not getting any sleep, or maybe they're pregnant. So this is a way for you not to document that so you can take action against the learner, but to document it so that you can try to help the system help that child. Because with some of these schools with tens of thousands of people in them, we're trying to help make sure that those cries for help don't get lost. So those are our three modules: recognizing extraordinary good behavior, documenting unexpected behavior, and making sure that cries for help don't get lost. So those are all optional. Your schools can either turn those on or turn them off, but that is what you just saw with those behavior. That's all we do in US schools. And people buy our software just for those three modules. So I'm kind of proud of them because I do think they make a better school environment. And I know that some of your beautiful schools that I've been in have posters on the walls just like our schools do that talk about bullying. And so it's a universal problem. All right, I'm going to switch off my phone then, and let's switch over and see what all this looks like on a website, because that's where some of you may choose to use SPLAT as well. So sharing then, share that. Let's go to our classes here. There we go. Okay, so here's my school. Here's my English 7th grade English class in period 2 again. And let's take a look at what's going on in my classroom. We're going to start off with attendance here as we did. We can see the same people that were marked absent on my phone or tardy are still marked absent or tardy. Also, both on my phone and on the screen, we have a different series of ways we can show you how this works. I'm in the grid mode right now. Our seats mode allows you to rearrange the classroom so that your learners are in rows or tables or groups the way you have them in your regular class. And then we have a list mode, which I'll show you in just a moment. Let's go to activity. If I look at how do light bulbs work? There it is. I can see my green group that all got a score of 19. Because my gadget is connected to the internet right now, not very well, but it's there. Because it's there, all that data is flowing more or less real time. I didn't have to click a button. I didn't have to do anything. It just showed up. And so that's quite lovely. And if I look at my active activity screens, my activity scores for my how do light bulbs work, I can see my scores distribution, how my class is doing right now. I can also look at any other thing that's gone on in my class and see, how is my class doing? Scores are, again, I don't mean to say mansplain this. Scores aren't just a reflection of your learners. Sometimes they are a reflection of the test, and that some tests are just not as good a tests as other tests. I'm an educator occasionally, and I know that I've passed out some really bad tests as an educator. So we tried to make some tools for educators to improve your game with. This is for you, not for anybody else, but it's here in case this helps you. All right, we also have the recognitions here, just as we do on the other side. But I'm not going to go into that again. I'm going to now switch back to my presentation, and we're going to talk about distance learning. So let's switch to the presentation again. Okay, so our distance learning we call SPLAT courses. It is offline content. I've already mentioned it's asynchronous, not synchronous, which means you're not online. On SPLAT courses, we can send down to the gadgets textbooks or modules, lessons, audio files, worksheets, exams, and Nilda or Ryan, Ray, or Stephen, if you could make a note, I've got to update this slide because we don't mention on here that we now can send down videos, which I'm going to show you today. Very, very exciting. And not only can you send videos down to your learners, but with our new builds, the learners can take a video that they've shot. And the one I'm going to show you today is a niece of one of our staff who did a cheer dance. We're going to take that video, upload it so that me as the teacher, I can take a look at that cheer dance. All of this good stuff, all these videos, everything is offloaded or downloaded to the gadget about once a week. That's all we expect, once a week. And they have access to do this offline. They don't need to be connected to the internet at all during the middle of the week. Now, it seems strange to me that about here in the presentation, people would start to ask, well, what sort of anti-cheating features do you have? And then we all started looking at modules and said, well, wait, the answers are all here in the modules anyway. But nevertheless, we have some really good anti-cheating features. Many of you know there's no such thing as anti-cheating, but we've made cheating take insane amounts of time. We do that by changing the order of the questions, and then inside of each question, we change the order of the answers. So if I want to cheat, if I'm a learner and I want to cheat, and I've got my buddy on this side and my buddy on the other side, and we've got 3 gadgets, we're each trying to take the same test and we're trying to cheat at it. My question 1 is his question 8 and my other friend's question 22. So first of all, we have to read through all of the questions, which are timed, find the right question together, and then we have to start shouting out the different answer choices to each other, because my answer at the top of the list is my friend's answer at the bottom of the list, and my other friend's answer in the middle of the list. So what ends up happening is we end up reading the questions out loud to each other. We end up reading the answers out loud to each other, and then maybe we have time to choose an answer and put it in before we run out of time limit. But the weird thing that happens with all this is that learning accidentally happens because they're having to actually read and they're having to talk about it. And it sort of solves the goal that they might just actually learn by accident. They would never admit that, but they might. As much as we want to make it time consuming for your learners to cheat, we don't want to make this system time consuming for your teachers. So if you are a teacher, we're going to give you every tool we can think of to make your life easier, less administrative, so you can spend more time doing what you are, I hope, passionate about doing, which is educating young people. So we let you share your lessons amongst each other. I'll show you that in just a minute. The grades are automatically entered into the ECR. I'll show you that as well. We've tried really hard to make SPLAT courses reduce the time spent doing all this. Now, my next door neighbor here in Los Angeles Unified School District teacher, she just retired, but she was here for the first half of COVID. And what she said about distance education here in Los Angeles, where they have money. Did you hear me? I said they have money, lots of it. They bought every child a gadget. They have internet everywhere. They got the best of the best of the best. And she said it was so much work. She said it was so hard. And they had all of the tools. And you don't. You don't have good internet. You don't have gadgets given out to every single learner. You don't have good quality purchased content that they went out and bought. No, you don't have a whole bunch of those things. So we know that if it was hard here, it's going to be even more challenging for you. And so, you have my utmost respect, and I'm impressed every day with what you must be doing to educate your people in this pandemic. But we're going to do our best to try to help you. So we're going to make your life as easy as we can. If we've missed something, let us know, shout it out to us, call us later and say, hey, you kind of missed this thing, and we'll add it, because we want to do what you need. And we're not educators, really. We're programmers. So here's how this works. Somebody at DepEd develops a module. Somebody else at DepEd takes that module and converts it into our SPLAT topics. And I'll go through this in a minute. The topics get assigned to the learners. The learners download that onto their phone. And while they're offline, they read, they watch, they listen, they take their quizzes. And not just quizzes, we have worksheets, we have assessments, we have inline. All that gets added back, sent back up to the system. It gets electronically graded, super, super cool on that. And then it gets put into the ECR electronically if you want it to. Now, I've already shared with you some of my concerns with distance education. I don't think it works very well, but it's right now, it's what we've got. So it's what we got. So what are some of those common concerns about distance education? Well, number one on my list is feedback. When you send a module home, a paper module home with a learner, you really don't know kind of what's going on with them for a whole week. And they could be writing down all the wrong answers and they would have wrong answers. My suspicion about the young people is if you then grab that module, you correct all their answers, send it home with them, I'll bet they never ever open it and look at it. So we have a philosophy in SPLAT for our knowledge check questions that are in the middle of the module content. Your learners cannot proceed if they have a wrong answer. And I'll show you how this works in a few minutes when we go through this together. Now, my kids had an amazing educator in a piano teacher when they were young. And my piano teachers had a saying that she used a lot, and I now use it a lot. I'm sure my staff is so tired of it, but her statement was, practice doesn't make perfect, practice makes permanent. I love it. Practice makes permanent. So we want to make sure that as your learners are going through the educational material on SPLAT, they're learning it correctly the first time so that it becomes permanent in their brain correctly, not permanent in their brain incorrect. Secondly, with SPLAT, and I think you've probably seen some evidence of this so far, but we really are worried about the digital divide. So not only are we trying very hard to make sure they don't have to spend all of their family's money on internet load and things like that, and I know Globe and Smart are starting to pass out some SIMs that are free now, but they didn't last year much, so that's a great improvement. But a lot of your learners don't have brand new shiny laptops or brand new shiny iPads. They've got an older beat up cell phone. And you know what? We probably work on it. We've tried really, really hard to make sure that our software works on whatever they've got. My developers are not always thrilled with me when I make them test our software on a 1,600 peso Cherry Mobile that I bought at the mall. But that 1006 Cherry Mobile does one thing. It proves to me that our software runs on just about any phone, because at 1006, that's pretty affordable as these things go. I mean, we're not saying that you have to buy a brand new iPhone 12, although some of you might like a new iPhone 12, but you don't have to buy one to use SPLAT. So we support inexpensive and older phones. I will show you as we get into the grading modules a little bit later, how we can give you as teachers tools to see that your learners are not being left behind, because in classrooms, it's kind of easy to tell who's not keeping up. But when they're at home and you never much see them, pretty easy to have somebody get lost and not just lost, but there's a lot of self-discipline that's required. And, you know, junior high is not necessarily known for having children with a lot of self-discipline. So, you know, a lot of challenges here. We talked a lot about cheating. I won't go through it again, but access to internet, not only do they only need to synchronize about once a week, but when they do, it's probably going to be about 300 megs. That's for 6 classes, 5 days. That includes audio presentations, modules, quizzes. Now, if you use a lot of videos, it'll be more, but we're super compressing the videos too to make them about 25% or 30% of the original video size. So we really try to skinny it down. Now compare that to this Zoom call we're on. If you just use Zoom for education, you get 3 gigs per week based upon my little tiny talking head and this presentation. It runs about 100 megs an hour. So, and then we have something called SPLAT Access with Mules. I'm not going to talk about that today, but it allows an entire village to use a single access point where no load is required for the kids at all. Now, someday, say it with me, someday we will be done with this wretched pandemic and we'll go back to the way we were a little bit. When that happens, SPLAT Courses is sticking around. It was always going to be there. It just got moved up because of COVID. But it's going to be there for your small schools that have accelerated learners where the learner cannot go to like a science school. or if you have students who need to work in their family sorry store or take care of a younger brother or sister. If your school has shifted and you have night schools and you're now working on a compressed schedule, when you're back in buildings, even if you're on a compressed schedule, you can continue to use a blend of in-class learning and SPLAT gadget learning, so your learners learn what they can during your shortened schedule in the building, and then continue their education in their homes wherever they end up. If your school has an ALS program, SPLAT is free 100% for ALS. Now, I didn't say this earlier, important. Right size does not develop any content. Okay, so we're not content people, we're platform people. We're going to give you the technology. It's up to you to provide the content. So, but if you have content for these things, it's all SPLAT is there for you. And again, free for ALS if you have an ALS program. And we are working right now on our continuing professional development for teachers. So if you have a CPD content that you as a division office would like to roll out to your teachers, you'll be able to push that content out to your teachers with, here, let me say it again, all that wonderful anti-cheating features that go out and that can be pushed by your division office out to your teachers as well. All right, let's stop and look at content creation, and then we'll make some content. We'll send it down to our phone so that our learner can take a look at it. All right, I'm gonna stop here for a second. Ryan, tell me about what people are asking.
For now, Chris, there's no questions.
All right, is anybody listening to me, or have you all left the room?
But I have here answered query about how they can sign up.
Okay. All right. So also at the very end of the presentation, I will talk to you if you're a school head listening, or if you want to talk your school head into joining SPLAT. Our next to last slide talks about how you get on to SPLAT. Also, if you're watching this and you're excited, I'm hoping you are, and you're going out and you're downloading SPLAT onto your phone, thank you, ma'am. It's appreciated. If you're going out onto the iTunes store or the Android store, and you're downloading SPLAT, if your school isn't online yet, it won't work yet. So just so you're aware. Okay, let's switch over to see what content creation looks like, because I don't think anybody's ever said that creating content is fun, but I hope it's kind of fun. And there it goes. Okay, we're going to go into our English, our August 26th demo I was working on, and then day one, we're going to create a page, and let's stop here. So, so not only are you having to educate your learners, but for your 4th, 5th, and 6th graders, well, first of all, I think K through 3rd, probably not a best choice of use for SPLAT, because if your learners can't read, it's a tough push. But we do support with SPLAT the concept of a mentor. Now, a mentor is that person that you're training to be a teacher, like a mom or a dad or Ate, Kuya, Lola, whoever it is that's at home that is going to try to help this young person get through their studies. So in lots of ways, in our content creation section, you can build an education track for the mentors about how they're supposed to teach to their young person. So we've given you those tools. I'm going to focus today not on those because they look just about the same. We're going to go into what learners. And by this, I mean, you can even do worksheets for your mentors. You can give them knowledge checks to make sure they're learning the material too. And everything in SPLAT can be done in English, can be done in Filipino. And if you want to create language packs that are in a different language, Cebuano, Ilocano, whatever it is, 100% multilingual for everything that is done for the families. Not everything for the teachers, but for the families, 100% multilingual. So today, out of the box, we have English support and Filipino support. But if you want to add other languages, we'd be happy to have you work with you. As long as you do the work, we'll put it in there. So here's a page. The first thing I can come in here and do and say, this is today's I can come down here and I can make this bold. I can add a table. Oh, that didn't go well. Okay, but you'll see that this is going to look just like this in a bit when I show it on my thing. I've got right, left, left, light. I can change fonts. I can do weird things. So if I have this content in Word or something like that, I can paste it in. If I have my module in PDF format, I can paste it in. So that's one way, is you come in here and you create these pages of data using our text editor built right into SPLAT. So let's save and create another page, another learner page. I also have the choice of just uploading a PDF. So the easiest way to use SPLAT, I don't think it's a very good way, but the easiest way is to come in here and just choose a file and upload the module. Bada bing, bada boom, you're done. It's not going to probably help much, but it's a way to electronically distribute those paper modules, and it'll work just fine. I'm going to show you how I do a video and right now, I guess. So, but let's see. Let's do a knowledge check since I'm on the screen, and then we'll go to the other side of the room. This is where I get really high tech. A knowledge check is. Let's see, we were doing light bulbs earlier. Who invented? I can, with this, I can add an audio file. I can record something. So I'm going to record this so that, again, my younger learners could potentially hear this question. Who invented the light bulb? So that's a question type. We're going to say that this is multiple choice. And our choices down here are Edison. We're going to say our other choice was Bell, as in Graham Bell. And let's say add an answer. Okay, so here's our sample knowledge check. We're going to save that, and then I'm going to go super high tech here. Stop sharing on site. I'm going to grab my microphone and go to the other side of the room. I know you're all so impressed with how the back of my head looks. There we go. Okay, so I'm signed in now on the screen on the other side of my office here. All right, so here we open up the English, my English 7 third quarter. I'm going to go into my August demo, day 1. My learner, who invented the light bulb. And then we're going to do a new learner page. And this one is going to be a video. And I'm going to record a video. I have to switch to this side so that my camera isn't being owned by Zoom. On the other side, the Zoom won't let me double use the camera. I'm going to start recording. Good morning, class. This is your temporary instructor, Mr. Hancock. And today we're going to learn about light bulbs. Good morning, class. This is your temporary instructor, Mr. Hancock, and today we're going to learn about light bulbs. Okay, that was probably the worst I've ever done, but let's go ahead and click save. And I got an item, saved item successfully. Okay, so now I can stop sharing on this side and go back to my regular desk. I know you're thinking this, you're thinking, wow, this is high tech. And let's go back to content, share, refresh. Here we go on August 21. Let's go in and make a quiz so we can talk about what's going on. So first of all, notice that we have quizzes and we have worksheets and we have, assessments, worksheets, quizzes, and projects. So let's talk about the differences here. So assessments are just like quizzes. They're timed. They come at the beginning of the module. So we support those. Worksheets are typically in the middle of a module. And the only thing about worksheets is that the worksheet doesn't get uploaded to you as a teacher. So if you want to have worksheets get uploaded, we have techniques for doing that. We basically just create a quiz and we send it up as an ungraded thing. That works perfectly well. And projects are just like quizzes, except that quizzes are timed. And if you get out, you're done. Whereas projects you can get in and out of. over time. Like our cheer dance would really be more of a project because you can get in and out, but otherwise they're the same thing. So I'm going to create a project and I'll make a cheer dance. And do I want to randomize the questions to reduce cheating? In this case, not really, because it's just a cheer dance, and I'm going to save and create a question. Let's go through the question types to see what we've got here. So multiple choice, you already saw me create one of those. We do have multiple choice. So if your style of teaching is that you like to say, A, B, or C, or all of the above is basically A, B, and C, where the learner just collects A, A, B, and C. So let's just do one of these, which is correct. And I'm gonna just make this be super stupid here. A, B, let's add one more answer, C. And since it's multiple correct, when we get in here, we'll see how we can do that. Now, we notice down here at the bottom, I can do all or nothing. So I either get all three, or I can give X points per correct answer. So I'm gonna say, in order for this to be correct, it is an all of the above. I need to get 3, it's all or nothing, but if I get that, I only get a single point. So the second type is fill in the blank. Fill in the blanks, you have lots of choices again. So alphanumeric, if you're teaching English class and you're focusing on punctuation, you can make it case sensitive alphas. We can do numbers. So the number might be a 14. I can do years. And in this case, my year, we can say, AD or BC if it's something like that, or I can just have them type in a year. I can also do a range, so I could say from 1932 to 1945. If I was talking about, I don't know, Great Depression or something like that. I can do month and year, day and year, hour and minute. Years ago has even more options. So is it measured in thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions, or billions? So when did the dinosaurs roam the earth? Might be one of these, but again, you can have a range. So I can say from 3 to 5, I don't know, 100,000 million years ago. I don't remember all this stuff because, well, I don't. So anyway, that's that. We have a matching type. And let me show you this one. This case, we're going to do picture on the left, let's say, and I'm going to choose an image. Here's my little blue image. And this is blue, and there are 4 choices. So if you were teaching to younger learners and you wanted to match a picture of a dog with an image on one side or something like that, you could do this. We do support in lots of cases audio recordings, but not in this particular case. Say 2, save and create a question. And then let's do an essay question as well. So in this question, describe your cheer dance. It's an essay type. And the rubric here is going to be sentence structure. I'm going to say we're going to give our learner 5 points for grammar. I'm going to give them 3 points for content flow. Another for 4 points, and then theme is 5 points. I can also say what the minimum and maximum characters are. So we're going to say that they have to write at least 10 characters with a max of 2,000. We're going to save and create. So these are our rubrics or our criteria-based grading. And so that's on an essay. And then lastly, we can ask them to upload an image or a video. So same thing, upload cheer dance video. Rubrics here is music is worth 2 points or 3. Don't think I got that right, but it's not complaining. So we're just going to keep going. And then, okay, so we've now got a project. It has 4 questions in it. I do want to come back up here on day 1 for my learner. What was this? This was just a knowledge check. Yeah, I think that's all we really need. Okay, so we're going to say we're done. We do have some exciting stuff coming where you will be allowed to have a peer review this, and we are adding workflow that you can send this up to somebody at your district or your division, to your content folks for approval. It's not tomorrow or the next day, but I think we'll have it by probably October, November timeframe, that we will have a really nice approval and peer review system in this, where you can send this up for review and somebody else can QA it and audit it and make sure it's good. That will be coming along with our versions. We'll be allowing you to have multiple versions of these materials. So you've got version 4 out in the system and people are going through version 4. You're working on improvements. You're going to call that version 4.1, and you'll send that out, and that's going to go through a different approval. And when 4.1 becomes good, then everybody who is using 4 automatically will start using 4.1, or they can sometimes switch. There's a lot of flexibility there. It's hard because we don't want to make this too complicated, but having formal reviews of content, you've all read some stuff about people are finding errors in modules in the news, and we'd really like it if we can help you build a high quality product, because the last thing we want is for you and us to have negative publicity because we've got typos in content. So we're trying to make that easy for you to do. So I'm clicking now into my class. I'm going to go into an active activity, and we're going to come down here. You see, here's one I did on my gadget, how do light bulbs work. I'm now going to do a self-paced module. I'm going to say that it's going to get published, which means that's the first day it will go down to my learner, is today, and they've got a couple of weeks to get it done. The value of these two fields is that as a teacher, you can get all of this ready in advance, and it just won't go down to their gadgets until you're ready for it to go down. But you can get these things laid out in advance. When they do this work, I'm going to have it come back up into performance task number 2. I have the ability to assign this to only certain groups of people in my classroom. So if I have an accelerated group, maybe my dolphins or my accelerated group, I can assign these just to my dolphins. They're going to get it. Nobody else will even know it exists. But I'm going to let everybody have access to it. And I'm going to search for my August 26 demo, and I'm going to save it. What are you looking for?
The semester is ended.
Okay. Thank you, Ryan. That is very helpful. Okay. So as a teacher, I just went through, I created some content, even with 2 computers and screens that weren't moving very fast. I hope it wasn't too terribly complicated. I really do hope I wasn't going too fast, but this is not intended as a tutorial on how this works. So if you go out to YouTube and you do a search on YouTube for right size SPLAT, you'll see that we have a mountain of videos on how to create content in our system using our content creation system. So please don't think that you needed to take a lot of notes or learn everything I just did. Go watch some of our YouTube videos. They're very short. They're very specific, and we think they explain a lot about what's going on. They were really, really well done by John, and I think you'll find they're a tremendous, tremendous value, because even if you were going to go to class and we were going to sit in class and learn these things, you'll forget stuff over time because you're not going to do this every day. So when you need that resource, it'll be out there waiting for you in our YouTube channel. So go ahead and take a look at Right Size YouTube channel and see what you see. Let's go back to my gadget and take a look at what a learner sees. Okay, so here we go. Go into SPLAT Family. Okay, we also ask for PIN numbers from your learners, and there's a lot of new features that will be eventually added to SPLAT Family. It's intended to be a full system that includes some behavior stuff if your families want it, like we have in the classroom, some behavior so that families can manage their own children's behavior. That's more for the US market, because it will not be free, but it'll be there if somebody in the Philippines wants it. But the going in here into our stuff we did for our English class. Oh, there it is. Okay, we're at August 26th demo, day 1. Now let's see. Okay, so here on my screen is that horrible thing I put in. We're going to hit the next button. Who invented the light bulb? So here's my question where I added the voice as a teacher. And you can see that if I choose, I do think I spelled Elon wrong, but if I choose an incorrect answer, I get an orange box with square corners, because we know that statistically there are a fair number of people on the planet who have challenges differentiating between green and red because of color blindness. So we have tried to make sure that we don't rely on colors exclusively. So in this case, our correct answer is green, but it has rounded corners. Our incorrect answer is an orange color. So we tried really hard to not use red anywhere on the system. And so it's square corners, or orange means not, we don't think that's correct. Again, trying to make sure that practice makes permanent is what they're learning it correctly at the first time.
Start recording. Good morning, class. This is your temporary instructor, Mr. Hancock, and today we're going to learn about light bulbs.
Okay, so here's an example of, with just a click on the computer on the other side of the room, again, because Zoom owns this camera, I had to go over there. Fairly easy to create a video, pretty easy to send it down. The only problem is the speaker is not up to the task. So, so that was, I went through my content. I could have looked at a PDF of my material you brought in from a module. But copying and pasting in is super easy as well. Now let's take a look at my project. I'm going to start it. It's got 5 questions. There is no time limit. If this was a test, it would make sure that I wanted to start, because the clock starts clicking up at the top. So this was that fake one where it's multiple choice, that in this case, I have to select A and B and C to get it right. With worksheets, the difference between worksheets and quizzes is that if you get to the end of a worksheet and you've missed an answer, we will recommend to the learner that they go back into the worksheet and that they try it again. And I miss showing it to you on the content screen, but as a teacher creating content, or as a person creating content, which often won't be a teacher, you can add a hint. So when the learner goes back on a worksheet to a question they missed, we can give them a hint, so there's a chance they can get it right the second time. So a worksheet hint might be, read page 3, paragraph 2, to encourage the learner to go back to the material, reread the material, come back, answer the question, get it correct. And again, trying to focus on education, not on telling them that they're wrong all the time. So really focusing on getting them to learn the material, because that's what this is about. Not just going, you missed a question. So really focus on that. Okay, so you'll see the system randomize my choices. I'm going to say red goes with green, goes with blue. So I can go make this very wrong. And I go, wait, this doesn't look right. I just tap it and it separates. Well, I can separate them all and go, okay, wait, let's do red goes with red, and then so on and so forth like that. When they get glued together, we're all good. We can move on. This question was, describe your cheer dance. Okay, so that's pretty cheesy, but I better probably emotions not good in there. Okay, so there's my little thing. Notice down there at the bottom, I've got a minimum characters of 10. And I've done 48 out of the maximum 2,000 characters. So we've got a little character count going on there. Pretty exciting. I'm going to not take too big a risk here. I'm going to stop sharing for just a moment. Wait, there it came up. Okay. So I've got our video in there. I'm not going to browse it here because they're going to get to see it on the system in a minute. Well, I guess I can. So. Okay. So there's our cheer dance. I'm going to go to the index. Let's see. I've got one last question out here. 8 plus 8 is equal to 16. I'm going to go to my index. I see everything has been answered. I'm going to exit. Do I want to submit it? Why, yes, I do want to submit it. Update sync is in progress. Okay, so what's going on here on my phone is that we have pre-compressed this video. So when that learner shot their video and then maybe ran it through some image software to, you know, trim off the ends and all, we took it on the phone itself, and what it says we're sending it up to the server, which is true, but we're also compressing it before we send it. Again, trying super hard to make sure that what we're sending up to the server is already compressed. Okay, let's leave that be for a few minutes. I'll watch it out of my other eye here. I'm going to stop sharing with this, and let's go and take a look at where this ends up. It says sync is completed. Let's see what we got. Okay, we're now going to go into our self-paced learning module. We're going to look at our August 26th demo. And we're going to see now that Rudel Lopez, who is my fake learner, has uploaded their questions. So we're going to go first into grading an essay. And we've got some information panels in here that help you use this, that you can say, don't show this again if you've read it. And we've got the text I wrote here. Ooh, look what just happened. Let me Control Z that so you can see it again. We gave you, as educators, some of the features we thought you might like to do what you would do if you were grading regular papers. So when you're grading regular papers, you highlight things and you write comments. So you can come in here, highlight things, and it actually highlights them. And then you can type text here that says, this was a great. So I can come in here, I can type information, I can highlight things, and then I can come down to the bottom and I can answer my rubrics. So sentence structure, I had a max of 5. It's a fine sentence, let's just say. Grammar was 3. Content flow, wow, look at the flow. So my learner did great here. But what I don't know at this point is who is my learner. So if I had a whole class of learners I was grading, one of the things we deliberately did was to cover up the names of your learners, because I'm a human, you're all humans. I know that humans tend to play favorites. And so we've hidden the names of the learners so that you can give a completely impartial grade. Now, sometimes you want to know who these people are, so you can click the eyeball here and you can see that this is Rudel. Now, I happen to know that Rudel's the only one who's uploaded their stuff, so not a big challenge to know this, but if I was doing this for 60 kids, we tried to make it so that you could be very impartial about these things. I can also flag this for review. If I think there's something a little bit suspicious about this, I can flag it for review, and then I can click next and see the next person. Now, there was only one person, so it's there, but I can click back to these at any time. I can add or remove this flag at any point and see how it's going. I can also, if I really messed up here, I can show the original answer and it goes back to just what Rudel had typed without all my comments and red marks and such. So we hope that it gave you some nice tools to use. Here's my cheer dance. Let's see what my PC does. I want to play it, and I want to play it in full screen. So here's my learner doing their cheer dance, which I'm sure you've seen cheer dances before. And even though she is quite good, I don't think we'll spend the time to sit and watch. So having watched the cheer dance, though, I can now come in here and say 3, 5, 3, and again, write some comments down here. These will be seen. These will not be seen by the learner, but or actually, Brian, would you make a note to me to find out, does the learner see these comments? I can't remember if we show them or not, but we should, I think. And if teachers out there have an opinion, let us know. But I think these should be seen by the learner. Or teachers, do you want 2 kinds of comments? Comments that the learner sees and comments the learner doesn't see. Interesting thought. Anyway, love some feedback from the teachers listening. And I click next, and again, that was the only one. Having now graded all of my essays, I can now click grade objectives. I can now see this. When I click on Rudel and click compare, I could have clicked any number of learners in this list if there was more than one. And I see which choices Rudell got correct, and then I can see what the rubrics were on the cheer dance. I can compare, in this case, I could compare all the learners in my class and put them across. Now, you may be saying, hey, Chris, we got a problem. There's only what, 7 learners on this list. But if I go back to my graded activity, there's a lot more. That's because only the learners who are set to have a digital modality show up on this grading panel, because this is the digital modality grading panel for self-paced learning. If they're doing traditional, hardly traditional, if they're doing paper modules, then you can grade them the way you've always graded things back on the graded activity screens like this. So just be aware that we absolutely are trying to support you as educators with half of your class doing paper, or maybe a third doing paper, the other rest of them doing digital. We want that to work together nicely, because we know that is reality, that you won't ever get 100% of your kids to do the stuff on their gadget because they don't have one, they can't afford it, they have no internet. And we say, yes, that's life. So we want to support you completely in that effort. So that's what we've got. That's what we've got there. We do have all of this data goes into the ECR. You can click a button here at the bottom to download an honest to goodness, real life, true ECR. Let's go ahead and do that. Here it is down here. It's going to open up over there. Let me share a different window. There it is. So all of these grades are going in there. We, as a company, absolutely know that written works get 40%, performance tasks gets 2%, and at the moment, due to DepEd order, we are not doing any quarterly assessments. So all of that weights and balances. The transmutation table is all built in. So this is all very, very, very much specific to the way DepEd does grading. And all of these class records roll up for the advisor, just the same way the SF2s all roll up. The classroom attendance rolls up to the SF2 for your advisor. So that is SPLAT courses. Before I move on to the last little closing remarks, because we're getting close to the end, yay! Anybody have any questions? Now would be a great time to ask questions about creating content, distributing content to the learners, how this works for the families. Any questions about any of this would be good. One question that does come up a lot right about now is, can you tell us what gadgets this stuff will run on? And so Ryan, if you could send out the link to that, that page on our website that shows what the gadget lists, what the gadgets are, that would be very, very helpful. And so watch for that on the Zoom chat here in a minute. There it is, for those of you who have been wondering. And the way your learners get on, just so you know, as an advisor, I go into my my section, and this is something as the advisors on the call today. You have a separate panel where, as advisors, you come in and you set what days of the week and how your classes work on the different periods. But there's also a place here to generate codes. By clicking that button, a PDF is generated. On that PDF, which our intent is you probably would print, take some scissors, cut it up, hand these little scraps of paper out to your learners, and that would then be something they would take home to type into their gadgets. To get onto a gadget, a learner will need to know their LRN and their code. We on purpose do not put those two pieces of data on the same piece of paper, because if the learner drops it, loses it, whatever, we don't want somebody else getting in, one of their evil classmates getting into their stuff. So we know their parents have their LRN on last year's report card, or they can call the advisor or text the advisor and get it. But between the codes on this piece of paper and their LRN, that's really all they need to get onto the system to participate in this. But as an advisor, you will need to give them that 4-digit code to get onto the system. All right, let's go back to the presentation. We're almost done. I think there's 2 pages left. Okay, so how do you get up and running on SPLAT? If you're a school head and you haven't already, you can go to that URL on my screen, https:// you don't really need that, but it's splat-ph.com/signup. If you want to do it sign-up, it works just the same. So splat-ph.com/signup. You need to be a school head doing this. The first step needs to be done by a school head. After that, as school heads, you can get your ICT to help you. We are changing that a little bit to make it easier for you to have your ICT do it, but you will still need to do the first page all by yourself, because we for Data Privacy Act compliance, there are some things we really absolutely positively need the school head and only the school head to do, and this is one of them. There's just only 2 more, but that's one of them. Then to get your school up and running on SPLAT, once you've done this MOA bit, so you download the MOA, you sign it, you upload the MOA, we turn on your school. You get on by, first actually you bring in the data that's on your SF7, your personnel roster. We have a special spreadsheet we call the SPLAT 7. It has a few more columns that helps us like differentiate some advisors from subject teachers and such. You'll upload that. That's very fast, very easy. Then if you have your SF1s from LIS, which you don't yet, of course, but if you had those, you can upload your SF1s. We will build the sections. We will add the learners as then the advisors just need to claim their section and create their classes. Probably about 15 or 20 minutes total for an advisor to set their world up after you have an SF1, but you don't have one yet. We know that. So we've come out with our own express enrollment system, which is now going to use a file we call the SPLAT 1. So we'll now have the SPLAT 7 and the SPLAT 1. That code is going very well. We hope to have it done in just a few more days. That will let you upload a lot less information to just get your school online. So for example, SPLAT does not care at all what the religion or mother tongue is of a learner. We'll store it for you because it appears on some reports. We don't use it for anything. So we don't need that to get up and running. All we need about a learner, first name, middle name, last name, gender, because of the what we call the DepEd sort, and date of birth, grade level. That's about it, really. And we need to put them in sections. So we've tried to make getting your learners really fast, really easy. If you have SF1s from LIS, your ICT can upload them for the entire school at one time. So if you use the express system, express enrollment system in SPLAT with the SPLAT ones, you can get in this small amount of data to get up and running. And then when you get the SF1s from LIS later, your ICT can add that to the system. It will add things like mother tongue, ethnicity and such to the system, and you can then be up and running and fully complete. So you get the data in, either large or small amounts of data in. Your teachers need to go through some training, which is through these online modules. We also have training built right into the app. You can see that as well. The advisors create the sections and assign the classes on that screen I just had up a moment ago, but probably 15 minutes, half an hour for most cases, and you go live. Then you pass out these little slips of paper to your learners, the families get online, and that's really it. So super fast, pretty easy. We're here to help you if it isn't easy for you. It's easy for us because we've done it a million times. It'll be your first time. We know that's going to be harder. We're here to help you. We are not going to come out and do it for you. We're not going to come out and train you in person. But if you watch the videos and you still don't get it, we're really, really, really seriously here to help. There are a very small number of us doing help. There's a big chunk of us doing programming. We're more focused on making the code easier, because my guess is none of you have ever once called Google to ask them how to use Gmail because you just figured it out. So we're hoping if we can make it as easy as Gmail, you won't need to call us either. But what we're doing here is a bit more complicated than Gmail. So, all right. Lastly, some things you should have written down somewhere. The thing at the bottom in bold, you should all have tattooed on your arm right here. I'm told it looks beautiful tattooed on your arm. That's who you should email if you have questions, support@splatph.com. But Ryan and Nilda are our two leads. So Nilda De Vera, who many of you school heads already have spoken with or chatted with or texted or something, is our project champion. She's there to help you get through the MOA signing and uploading process. So she owns the process up to the point where we turn on your school. Ryan, Ray, and Steven then take over and help you with the SPLAT 1 or SF1, and then the SPLAT 7, getting those uploaded, getting your teachers trained and online. And my name is Christopher, and I'm here to make sure all of this works well. And so if it doesn't, you're always welcome to call me too. I'll do my best to help you. I actually do know what's going on. There, I can breathe. I hope this has been as much fun for you as it has for me. I really appreciate your being here. I would like to stop one more time and ask if there are any questions. Ryan, how are we doing on the questions?
Chris, I think more questions are on the sign up for the school head. No
Okay.
question for technicality.
Okay, so on that, if you go to the website, there's more text about it. We are changing that process right now to try to make it easier, but we're not going to have that done until probably Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. But I think by Tuesday or Wednesday of next week, we're changing it slightly for the purpose of trying to get your ICT to be able to help you easier, faster. But it's going to be the same process. So anyway, chat with Nilda and let her know if we can help you. We'll do our best. But most important thing, go to the site, try it, download it, try and upload it. The thing that seems to bug most people is sending us the copy of their ID. If you can't get that, just chat with Nilda and we can accept a copy of your ID on a Viber picture or all sorts of ways. We're just trying to be in compliance with DPA to make sure that the person who signed the document really is the person, since we're not getting these things notarized. Any other questions, Ryan?
None for now, Chris.
Super. All right. Well, again, I am so delighted to have spent this time with you all. I'm even more excited that some of you are going to sign up and use SPLAT. I hope it helps you educate your young people. I hope we can add value. And remember, we're here to help. So if there's something we've forgotten, if there's something we screwed up, if there's something you see like that thing I was on the grading of uploaded videos, uploaded pictures, or their essays. And for example, you want to have a private comments and a comments that are seen by the learner and their family, something like that. You see it and you're like, hey, wouldn't it be nice? Please share, let us know. This is all free and we want it to be the best we can make it for you. And thank you with all of my heart to those of you who joined us this morning. Good morning.